Alright, so today's figure we're going to be taking a look at is Katsushika Hokusai from Fate Grand Order by Phat Company 1/7 scale. She's the only servant that I actually do not have in the game that I actually want. I have every other servant that I want in the game, like legit. But yeah, since I couldn't get her in game, I decided to get her figure. Now this is going to be a little bit of a short video for me, just because it's not going to include the entire unboxing experience, because I recorded the unboxing about 2 weeks ago from this video right now that I'm recording now. But I only finally realized it now when I actually pulled it up into editing that 90% of the footage doesn't actually have sound. It's kind of vital for me, so I'm just gonna be talking. But yeah, you can blame Fire Emblem Engage for making this video come out too late. Just saying, that's my only excuse. Okay, so first off, Hokusai, coming in at about 35,000 yen. Kind of expensive, definitely a luxury price. And that's probably because this is part of Phat Company's new series of figures, their luxury gift line, their luxury line of figures. You know, hence the name, hence the price, you get what I'm saying. There's actually only 3 figures in that lineup right now. First, Hokusai. The second one I believe is Semiramis, which is also another Fate figure. I didn't actually pre-order that one just because I like Semiramis, but her final version, or like final form I guess you could say, does not really float with me very well, so I didn't pre-order that. Third one I believe is a Shuvi and Shiro combo from No Game No Life. I know some people are probably a little bit hesitant when this figure first came out because it's 35,000 yen and it's from Phat Company. Not to diss Phat Company or anything, but they aren't really known as the most consistent company when it comes to figures. Like, sure, I do have a couple of Phat Company figures and I do generally love them all, but they definitely do have their quality control issues from time to time. I thought I actually owned more Phat Company figures than I actually do, but I actually own less than 10. The only one that I actually did have kind of issues with was their Musashi, which is kind of disappointing because Musashi is one of my favorite characters. I had a lot of QC problems, especially when it came to the paint job, and I didn't really like the hair for that particular figure. Another example recently is like their Shining figure from Arknights, which is not out yet. Goddamn, that hair does not match the illustration whatsoever. Was this gonna turn out good? I don't know. I just based it off of the promotional photos that they posted up, pre-ordered it, and I was like, okay. Long story short, definitely a figure worthwhile to get in my opinion. All right, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Let's start off with the box first. So this is the box, decent size. If you really value space, you might want to consider throwing this one out, but then again, it's a very expensive figure, so you might want to change your mind about throwing it out. The box itself has a very nice gold chain that just wraps around the entire thing. You got some nice Japanese calligraphy and a lot of birds just sprawled all over the box. The top portion has a couple of logos. The side, you have a really nice octopus logo with Katsushika Hokusai on it. 2 main sides of the box actually have illustrations that are based off of actual drawings that Hokusai, real life Hokusai actually did. And then it opens up with a flap on the top that you just pull out, and it reveals the blister packaging inside. Very simple, not too crazy. That's it for the box. Oh, if you're wondering about shipping as well, for me it was DHL from Japan to Canada. It was about 10k yen, I think, so pretty expensive. If you're not an impatient person, then just go with Surface Parcel. You'll save a lot of money that way. Inside the box, you will get the base itself, which is kind of plain. It is just basic matte black with a couple of polka dots in Hokusai's colors to kind of just give it a little bit of flair, so not crazy. It's all right. You'll get Octopops over here. I'll get into him in a little bit. You get her paintbrush, which does come in 2 parts, and you get 2 little small birds, the water effect, and a long transparent peg, which we will also get into in a little bit. So assembly wise, pretty self-explanatory. When you get this figure, you'll know how to put it together. The only thing that you might have trouble with is putting the paintbrush in her hand, because you kind of have to angle it in the back, and it's not like the easiest thing. You should be super careful with this portion because one side of the paintbrush is actually going to be hitting her hairpins in the back. Kind of have to angle this properly without actually moving it a ton, so you don't hit anything and break something while you're putting it in. I know some people have actually done that already, so just be careful about that. And the second part you might have a little bit of trouble with is putting on the 2 little birds, or I should say 3 little birds, into the paintbrush. One of the birds is actually joined with another bird. This piece was actually the easiest piece to put in, and then the singular bird is what gave me the most trouble. It's a very small place you're dealing with here, so it's kind of hard to push it in all the way. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You have the figure set up, and she looks fantastic. Phat Company did a very good job, and I'm so happy to say that because it was well worth the price. They could have easily just messed up on the hair or something. Personally, I think they did a great job on her dress. Very finely painted, especially the little hexagons, the flowers, birds just like spiraling around her. Her hair looks really good. Yeah, it's just an overall very good figure. Face is sculpted beautifully. The figure itself is actually based off of her second Ascension art in game, and I actually didn't really notice this quite literally until I got the figure. Was she has some very big assets. Like, I have her swimsuit servant in game since that was like a freebie that they gave away from one of the summer events, but like, even then I didn't really notice how big her jugs were. The water effect in the back is definitely what sells me on this figure. It just looks so good. It's so easy for figures to get like elemental effects like fire or water to look really ugly and cheap, but they did a really good job on this. I think it looks great. You can actually display Hokusai and the water effect without the base. They do stand on their own, so you can do that if you really wanted to. Now, I am giving the figure a ton of praise here, but there are a couple of nitpicks and little things that definitely make this figure probably not as worth it in a lot of people's minds. So for example, I think the general overall sculpt for the figure is nice, but upon closer inspection, there are a couple of things that make it seem a little bit cheap. Now, this might vary from unit to unit, obviously, but this is particularly my unit. The brush, it's got a little bit of a gritty section that doesn't look as clean, and it kind of looks like a little bit of pieces are falling off. Her hands, especially, I've heard people make the comment that she kind of has sausage fingers, and for me, I guess I kind of have to agree there. It looks way worse here because my camera actually literally just picks up every little detail. It doesn't look this bad in real life, but it's not the cleanest sculpt on her fingers. As you can tell, there's a little bit of like kind of wrinkliness going on. These are kind of like nitpicks for me, but I can kind of see how some people who would be more perfectionist would definitely deem this as not great, especially for a figure at 35,000 yen. But for me, taking all things into consideration, if you're a big Hokusai fan, I definitely would recommend this. Fun fact, Hokusai is actually not the young lady right here. Hokusai is actually the octopus, whereas the young lady here is Hokusai's daughter, Oi Katsushika, if I got her name right. But we just refer as the octopus as Pops or Toto-sama, whichever floats your boat. Now, one thing I forgot to mention was the transparent peg. It's actually used to support Pops here in the back and the water effect a little bit. But the funny thing is, it actually doesn't reach all the way for me. I tried to put it in the back, and it just doesn't reach all the way. It's a little bit too short, so I don't exactly know what Phat company wanted me to do here. I guess just in case if it sags down, I don't know, maybe I'm putting it in wrong, who knows. But I couldn't get it to fit all the way. Not that I care too much, because personally I think transparent pegs look really ugly, so I'd rather do without it. But if they included it in the box, then it must mean I'm probably gonna need it. I don't know, we'll see how many years it takes for this thing to kind of sag down, but I have no idea. But yeah, in conclusion, I do think this is a very good figure to get. So if you're a big Hokusai fan, definitely pick this up. I don't know how bad her aftermarket is, but hopefully it's not too bad. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go start making more videos after I beat Fire Emblem Engage. Huge thanks to Seswat, Beast, Ralku, Hentia, Wonder Kitsune, ZZZ, Higeki, Rev, Obi Magician, Digital Nex, Ishutaru, Ultra Blue, and Type Wild.